Hey, what's going on, guys? Goose here, man, and come back into the video, and I'm gonna start previewing some college teams. There's not much going on in the sports world. Hopefully, we have a college football season, so I'm gonna start previewing some of these college football teams. And first, I'm gonna start with the LSU Tigers. Of course, LSU won the national championship last season as they beat Clemson 42-25 to win the national championship game. So let's pull up their schedule for 2020. There it is. Our first on the list is they start the year against Texas San Antonio. Yeah, I know. Green Puff. Texas San Antonio has a new coach this season. They finished 4-8 last season. 4-8 last season. So it's I think this game should be really about kind of like what it was last year against Georgia Southern. Um, LSU was rolling out a new offense last season in 2019, and the offense looked really. I know it was Georgia Southern, but the offense looked a lot different last year, and even in that first game, because they threw the ball up, just the plays they ran. So I think this game could be like a tune-up for the next game, just to see what Miles Brennan can do with as the new quarterback. Of course, they still have Jamar Chase, they still have Terrace Marshall. So LSU still has playmakers on offense. They still have Chris Curry, Torian Davis-Price, and they got Emory at running back. They got three good running backs. I think LSU will probably run the ball a little bit more than they did this prior season, just because just because Joe Burrow's not there, and but still should be an easy opening win for LSU. Our next on the list is the Texas Longhorns. Texas Longhorns come to Baton Rouge this last year. LSU went to Austin. LSU went to Austin last season and won a barn burner in that game. Anybody saw that game? That was one of the games of the year. Texas. After that, Texas kind of faltered at the end of the year. A lot of injuries with the Longhorns, as they only finished 4-4 in their final eight, and they finished with an 8-5 season. But they were much. I mean, they were a very good team before injuries kind of plagued them. So this could be the game of the year, one of the games of the year again, as that's an early kickoff in the season. There's Sam Ellinger back for the Longhorns, so this could be a tough game for the Tigers, even being in Baton Rouge. Right next on the list is the Rice Owls, and for some reason LSU's going to a neutral site game in Houston playing Rice. I mean, I know people are saying, "Oh, no, it's for recruiting." I mean, you playing Rice really for recruiting? Come on, LSU should be playing this game in Baton Rouge. They should not be going to Houston to play what you call it, a game against Rice. That's just I don't get it. I don't get it. These neutral site games, a neutral site game against Rice should happen. I don't care if it's in Houston or not. Anyway, that's a game that LSU probably should definitely win. Our next on the list is the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss finished 4-8, but they got a new coach. They got a new coach in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is, we'll see what he can do when he's back in the SEC. He coached Tennessee back in 2009, left them after one season. Of course, he was the OC at Alabama for a while. Or then left and went to at Florida Atlantic, and actually made them pretty respectable. So it'll be curious to see what he does, how he does with John Rice Plumlee. Plumlee was no, he's LSU had problems with John Rice Plumlee last season. Anybody that saw that game against Ole Miss, especially in the second half, LSU had problems defending him. So Lane Kiffin should definitely have Ole Miss better next season than they were at 4-8. All right, next on the list is LSU steps out and they play one of those FCS schools that seems like everybody plays. Nichols. Nichols is actually they're from Louisiana. They went 9-5 last season. They advanced to the second round of the FCS playoffs where they fell to North Dakota State. Of course, North Dakota State went on to win the national championship for the FCS. So another easy win for LSU probably. I mean, it should be an easy win. All right, then they have I think they have one of their biggest tests of the year. They go on the road to face Florida. If LSU can get by Texas, then they probably have a very good chance of being undefeated going to Florida. This would be a very, very tough game. LSU, historically has problems in the swamp. Swamp has been not kind to LSU, but this and of course Florida right there. They're returning Kyle Trask. Excuse me. And LSU. This will be Miles Brennan. This will be Miles Brennan's first true road game starting. So and going on the road to Florida. That'd be a tough game. Then they come another game back to back road games. They play Arkansas on the road. Arkansas game got moved up because Auburn game got moved back later in the year. Usually they'd be playing Auburn around this time, but they got to go on the road. Arkansas was 2-10 last season. That's Chad Morris got fired, not even 2 years into his regime, and they went and got Sam Pittman as a new coach. Of course, he has never been a head coach, never been a coordinator. Well, Ed Orgeron was never a coordinator either. So, as long as you surround yourself with good football coaches, you should do well. And he has. If you look at who Pittman has surrounded himself with at Arkansas, it's some good coaches. All right, next on the list we have they go home to play Mississippi State. Mississippi State, another new coach. Another new coach is Joe Moorhead got fired. As they finished 6-7 last season. They lost their bowl game. And it looked like they were going to keep Moorhead, but then things just kind of fell apart at the end for him. And they went with Mike Leach. Mike Leach, he brings a passing offense. He brings a passing offense. He did that at Texas Tech. He did that at Washington State, and he's gonna do that. He's gonna do that at Mississippi State. So look for. We're gonna see how they gonna use the quarterback. The quarterback they had last year, Schrader. I know he was more like a runner. He ran against LSU. So all right, then LSU has a bye week. And then they go home and they face Alabama, Crimson Tide. Alabama was 11-2 last season. They had losses against LSU and Auburn. LSU got off the snide. They hadn't beaten Alabama in 8 tries going into last season. So I think now they get Alabama at home. Still, they get Alabama at home, but still not like a home field advantage because LSU has not played Alabama well at home ever. Alabama owns LSU in Baton Rouge. I'll be the first one to admit it. LSU went from 1969 to 2000 with one victory. So in Baton Rouge. So Alabama owns LSU in Baton Rouge. So can LSU prove that they can beat a Nick Saban team in Baton Rouge? Because they haven't. They've come close a few times. They've come close a few times in 2008, 2012, and 2014, but they haven't closed the deal. So interesting to see how this game shapes up. How's Mac Jones going to be at this point in the year? How's Miles Brennan going to be at this year? Both these teams are starting new quarterbacks, so it'll be interesting to see how these teams are at this point in the season. Then you have another home game against South Carolina. South Carolina was 4-8 last season, so Muschamp. This is a big year for Muschamp. I think this is fifth year, I think, over there in South Carolina, 4th or 5th year in South Carolina. And I think this is a make or break year. They have to go to a bowl game. I know there were talks last year was he in jeopardy of losing his job. So I think this is a big year for South Carolina, and I think Muschamp definitely has to take them to a bowl game for them to have any kind of confidence that he can stay there. It's in Baton Rouge. On paper, LSU should win, but you never know how these teams are going to go out because we haven't had spring ball. We haven't had spring ball, so it's kind of hard to gauge how these teams are going to play. But there's no spring ball, there's no spring practice, so it's tough to gauge. You have to go on last year, and you have to go on who's returning. I think LSU's returning a lot. I think they're returning Jamar Chase, they're returning Terrace Marshall, they're returning a good running backs, Chris Curry, Tony Davis Price, and Emory. So this should be a win at home for LSU. All right, then they close out the year 2 road games at Auburn and at A&M. Auburn was 9-4 last season. Of course, Auburn, they had the high. They beat Alabama, then lost a bowl game. Interesting to see how he turns out. I should say Auburn because they seem to have they do well one year, then lose 5 games, especially when they play Alabama. In Tuscaloosa, they haven't beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa since 2010. That's when they had Cam Newton on the team. Auburn usually has a good season when they play Alabama in Auburn. So we're going to see how Auburn looks this year. This is late in the year. I think Auburn will be better just because they have Bo Nix will be a sophomore. He'll have another year, another year under his belt. So I think Auburn will be much better this season. This will be a tough game. This will be a tough game for LSU going on the road to Auburn, a place where we haven't played well historically. Um, so like I said, it's tough to gauge how these teams are going to be. But this could be a losable game for LSU, depending upon what the records are at that point in the season. I mean, then they close out against A&M. A&M was 8-5 last season. Now, A&M has a much more favorable schedule this year as opposed to last year. There's no Clemson. They got a lot of home. They got a lot of home games that's favorable for them, and this is one of them. LSU lost the last time they went to A&M with 7 overtimes, 74-72. Hopefully we don't have one of those games again. 7 overtimes, but this will be another tough game for LSU on the road. It's always tough to play on the road in the SEC, and this will be another tough game. I think A&M will be much better next season, as Jimbo Fisher will be in his 3rd year. Kellen Mond will be a senior, I just think that A&M not they don't have Clemson, so they should breeze through their non-conference schedule. And another tough game, on the road for LSU. So if you ask me right now, what do I pick LSU to be? I would say at worst 9-3. I think they can lose to Florida. I think they can lose to. I think they could lose two games to either Bama, Auburn, or A&M. I can see them losing two of those 3 games. And I can see them losing to Florida. Hopefully the offense can come out and not. I mean, come on, let's be real here. The offense is not going to be like it was last season. But if it can just do half, let's say Miles Brennan those 30 touchdown passes, I think that'll actually be a good season for LSU. So let me know what you guys think. What you think LSU is going to be? I say at worst 9-3. I think that should be the floor for LSU next season, 9-3. And maybe sneak into a New Year's Six bowl game, and then have Miles Brennan come back for a senior year and go for 2021. Maybe push for another chance to win another national championship. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Go Tigers!